Good morning, everybody. My name is Alicia Garden, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of GoannaAg. GoannaAg is traditionally a telemetry provider. In other words, we sell sensors, and our operating market historically has been the cotton industry, although we do service horticulture, dry land crops, and we have touched livestock occasionally. About 2 years ago, we took a look at the landscape and wondered why. So we have about 40% of the cotton industry as clients at the moment, and 2 years ago we looked around the landscape and tried to figure out why we couldn't actually sell more sensors into that market, and we came down to three particular reasons. 1, connectivity; 2, cost; and 3, complexity. So connectivity, I don't have to tell you all that 3G, 4G doesn't cover everywhere out in regional Australia, and the NBN isn't going to be the panacea that we've been promised. Cost of sensors is too high, so to pay $3,500–4,000 to monitor every trough on a farm is just unthinkable in most situations. And complexity, I mean, there are 20 service providers sitting in this room presenting our wares to you today. Imagine how many more exist on the marketplace. So how does a farmer actually sit there and put it all together? So I'll deal with them all in turn. So in terms of connectivity, we took a look around the marketplace and we came across an IoT technology called LoRaWAN. So IoT technology means that it's low bandwidth. So you can't make a telephone call on it, you can't stream Netflix, but you can collect lots of small packets of data at whatever time frequency you want. And you can also automate things. So if trough is empty, turn on pump. When trough is full, turn off pump. It's a way to save your labour costs for things that you do routinely at the moment manually. So we decided to invest and roll out a LoRaWAN network. We're focusing on the cotton industry at the moment, but we're doing spot installations anywhere else that there's interest. So by smashing LoRaWAN and the sensors that we were selling into the market together previously, we've been able to achieve up to 60% reduction on the capital costs of most sensors out there in the market. Specifically, what we've done on Karwoola is we have lit up or provided LoRaWAN connectivity across 3 of the 5 farms. Our largest installation has been at Karwoola. You can actually see the base station that's been installed there. So we erected a 15-metre mast and we installed that independent of backhaul and power. So we can basically light up anywhere. If you don't have 3G and 4G connectivity in your paddocks, it's really not a worry for us. We can bring LoRaWAN connectivity. The one thing that I have to emphasise is that IoT technologies can't exist by themselves. We can collect data, we can send that data to the cloud and process it, but you will always need 4G or broadband or dial-up in some cases to be able to access the web or the app interface to actually understand and interpret that data. So each base station dependent on topography. So in flat land, we're getting 40 kilometres away from one of those base stations. Here at Karwoola, we were actually really pleased with the distance we were achieving, and I got signal strength about 27 kilometres away from that install. So obviously, the more mountainous, the less range you're going to get, but it's still relatively good coverage. So we installed a whole lot of point of measurement systems. So point of measurement means it's just a sensor in the field doing a reading that you would otherwise have sent staff to do. So automatic weather stations, we've got Karwoola's one up here. The data can go to either our web platform or an app, and we've also given the API access to all of the software providers in this trial. And you can see it's probably not the sexiest interface, but it gives you the data that you need, so you can query any of the weather parameters. Our weather stations are what they term a Tier 2 bomb-grade weather station, so 0.2 millimetre accuracy on rainfall, half a degree accuracy on temperature. We do relative humidity and solar radiation at each point as well, as wind speed and direction. Rain gauges, here we go. I had to get Sean in a picture somewhere to show that he did some work on the trial. We installed, I think, 5 rain gauges across each one of the properties, so 15 in total. It's a tipping bucket rain gauge and also a Tier 2 equivalent, so 0.2 millimetre accuracy. Soil moisture probes. So we installed, I think, 1.2 metre soil moisture probes across the property that gives both temperature and moisture. And with our soil moisture probes, it's kind of our point of difference. So we have a level of artificial intelligence running in the background that predicts the rate at which the pasture is drawing the moisture out of the soil, and also forecasts pasture growth from that point in the paddock, allowing you to better plan your stock rotations. Then other point of measure monitoring tools, water tanks, fuel monitoring tanks, dam sensors. This isn't the dam sensor. When I get to the learnings, it'll become clear why. This is a dam sensor, obviously in cotton, and river monitoring also in cotton. So learnings. Sean asked us to be honest with you about our experiences in this project. So the network has performed better than we expected, both in terms of range and signal strength across the properties. But in all honesty, the time to install these sensors was much harder than in our dryland or cotton equivalent. And it's because of the topography that we're installing. It's quite challenging terrain, and a lot of the sensors aren't ruggedised enough to withstand being in the same paddock as livestock. And that reflected particularly around troughs. So we would have used either LiDAR, ultrasonic or radar sensors to do troughs, but as a beast comes along, it's going to smash that sensor. So we kind of had to think outside the box around how we were going to protect that sensor. With things like weather stations, you can put fences around them. It's a little bit more easy. So troughs haven't happened yet. And then in terms of the dams and the river system, because we're used to surveyed dams, we actually had to change the technology. So we installed pressure transducers, and I have to thank Darren for putting up with us crawling all over his farm with a blue kayak as recently as Tuesday with my staff in there shoving pressure transducers at the bottom of dams all over his property. We actually have a lot of developments pending, so the rollout of our network is one. We're about to release a weather and rainfall forecast at the point of each of our weather stations and rain gauges out there. So you install one, you'll get a 14-day bomb weather forecast at that exact point. What else? We're developing a water inventory management platform. We're testing in situ nutrient probes, so they will tell you NP and K. I've had some mineral requests over the last day or so we'll have a look into that as well, and commercialising temperature and humidity sensors. And I think last of all, thanks to Darren, I'm not sure you knew what you were getting into, letting us all over your properties, but thank you very much.